The golden drum of the desert long, long ago, when the stars were said to whisper secrets to the sands and the moon poured silver light upon the dunes. There was a desert where every grain of sand held a story. It was a place where caravans passed with their bells jingling, where falcons soared above, and where the wind itself sang lullabies. But in the heart of that desert, children, was hidden something so magical that even the oldest storytellers spoke of it in hushed voices, the golden drum of the desert. Now listen closely, for this is a tale about courage, kindness, and the music of truth. Once, in a faraway oasis town named Kadira, there lived a little boy called Samir. He was small and thin, with bright eyes that sparkled like stars reflected in a water jar. Samir was poor, the son of a humble water seller, and though he owned very little, he carried the treasure of a cheerful heart. He helped his father fetch water, polished the clay jars, and sang while he worked. But Samir's greatest wish, deep in his heart, was to be a drummer. He loved the sound of music, especially the beating of drums during the festivals when merchants from far-off lands would gather in the town square. The great drummers would play rhythms so powerful that even the palm trees seemed to sway with the beat. Samir would stand at the edge of the crowd, clapping his hands, dreaming that one day he too could make music that could move hearts. One evening, as the sky blushed with the colors of sunset, Samir's grandmother called him close. She was a wise old woman, her hair as white as desert salt and her voice as gentle as a soft breeze. "Samir," she whispered, "have you ever heard of the golden drum of the desert?" Samir's eyes widened. "The golden drum?" "No, grandmother. What is it?" She smiled knowingly. "It is no ordinary drum. It was made long ago by a wandering sage, carved from wood of a tree that grew where no tree should grow, in the middle of the desert sands. Its skin was stretched from the hide of a lion that gave itself willingly, and its sound carries not just music, but truth. Whoever beats the golden drum can make hidden hearts speak. But beware, little one, those who seek it for greed shall never find it. Only the pure-hearted may hear its call." Samir's heart leapt with wonder. That very night, as he lay beneath the woven roof of their home, he dreamt of golden sand that shimmered like starlight, and somewhere among those dunes, a drum that glowed with its own light, calling softly to him. The next morning, Samir decided. He would set out in search of the golden drum. He told his father, who sighed and shook his head. "The desert is vast and merciless, my son. What will you eat? What will you drink?" But his grandmother placed her wrinkled hand on Samir's shoulder. "Let him go. Sometimes the desert guides the brave." So, with a small water skin, a pouch of dates, and his grandmother's blessing, Samir stepped into the golden sea of dunes. The sun blazed fiercely and the sand burned his feet, but Samir walked on. For hours he trudged until he grew tired. Just then he heard a soft cry. Following the sound, he found a little fennec fox with its paw caught beneath a heavy stone. The fox's golden ears drooped, and its eyes glistened with pain. "Oh, poor creature," Samir exclaimed. He bent down and, with all his might, rolled the stone away. The fox leapt free, shook its fur, and then spoke in a clear, bell-like voice. "You have freed me, boy. Few would have stopped in this desert heat to help. For your kindness, I will guide you. I know of the drum you seek." Samir's mouth fell open. "You know where it is?" The fox nodded. "Not I alone, but the desert creatures will help you, for they know who is pure of heart." And so the fox trotted ahead, and Samir followed. Days passed, and the journey grew harder. Once, when his water ran out, Samir felt weak and faint. That was when a great falcon swooped down, dropping a gourd of cool water tied with a leather string. The falcon spoke. "You gave your last drop to a thirsty bird yesterday. The desert remembers kindness. Drink, little one, and go on." On another day, when night fell cold and Samir shivered in the dunes, a wise old camel knelt beside him, shielding him with its warm body until dawn. Courage, said the camel, is not walking without fear. It is walking even when fear walks beside you. Samir thanked every creature, his heart swelling with gratitude. At last, after many suns and moons, they came to a valley hidden between dunes. In the center stood a single strange tree, its bark golden and its leaves shimmering like emeralds. Beneath it lay a drum that glowed softly as though lit from within. Samir's breath caught. The golden drum. But before he could reach it, a shadow rose. Out stepped a tall man in black robes, his eyes as sharp as daggers. So, the man sneered, a child has found what I have sought for years. Hand it over. It was Malik, a greedy merchant from Qadira, who had long lusted after the drum, hoping to use it to force others to reveal their riches. Samir trembled but shook his head. The drum does not belong to greed. My grandmother said so. Malik lunged forward, but as he tried to seize the drum, the tree's roots coiled like serpents around his ankles. The golden drum thundered on its own, sending a deep, echoing sound across the desert. Malik cried out, and in that sound, all his hidden thoughts spilled forth, his lies, his betrayals, his selfishness. Ashamed and powerless, he fled into the dunes, never to return. The drum grew still. Samir approached, his small hands trembling as he touched it. When he struck it gently, the sound that came forth was unlike anything he had ever heard, like rain falling on thirsty earth, like laughter and tears together. The drum sang of truth, of kindness, of courage. The desert wind carried the music far and wide. It reached the townsfolk of Qadira, who paused in their work, listening. It reached the caravans who slowed their camels, hearts strangely light. And it reached Samir's father and grandmother, who smiled, knowing Samir had found his gift. Samir carried the golden drum back to Qadira. From then on, during every festival, it was Samir who played. But the drum did more than make music, it made hearts honest. When people listened, quarrels softened, lies melted, and laughter returned. The town became known as a place of harmony, where truth was celebrated, and children grew up learning that music is not just sound, but spirit. Samir grew into a fine drummer, but he never grew proud. He always remembered the fox, the falcon, and the camel, who had taught him that kindness and courage guide the way. And the golden drum? It was said that as long as it was played by pure hands, Qadira would never fall into discord. And so, children, the desert still keeps its secrets, but it also keeps its promises. The golden drum waits for every heart that dares to walk with kindness, no matter how small or humble. For as the desert proverb says, the drum of truth cannot be beaten by the hands of greed. Moral: true strength lies not in riches or power, but in kindness, honesty, and courage. When we act with a pure heart, the world itself rises to guide us, and harmony follows wherever we go.